Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Get Jacked here in Ark Survival Evolved. Now, I thought it would be pretty fun for this video to actually test out some of the dinosaurs, or some of the interesting creatures actually in the game that have some useful kind of, I don't know, benefits to them that you can utilize kind of in the mid to late game of Ark. Now, the game's changed a lot since I began. You know, it used to be you just get your Trike, you get your Pteranodon, you get your Argent, and then you're all set. But they've got a lot in here now, so I thought it'd be pretty cool since I'm just wrapping up my playthrough here to actually go over some of the cool kind of creatures that I've used. I've thrown them into a countdown. We're just going to go over 5 of them and kind of in detail, and I'll start with number 5 here. Alright, so starting out with number 5 is the Doedicurus. I mean, everyone knows that this thing is really good at getting stone. I mean, this one's pretty basic and kind of the reason that you start taming Dilos in the beginning so that you can get kibble for these guys. Now, these are the stone gatherers. You get tons of stone with these. Now, the roll is really cool. You actually take reduced damage when in this, so I don't know if there are too many uses for that right now, but these guys are really sweet. So there is another really, actually the more beneficial use to these is actually taking them up to the volcano, because they can actually gather a ton of resources for you. As you can see, stone you can gather a ton of with them, and if you stay close to a dinosaur that can carry a lot of weight, these can be really useful. Now, the weight, like I mentioned, is really, really horrible. Now, they can only hold so much, but as you can see, I've taken this one up to the volcano. It's actually really cloudy. I think it's cloudy up here now, which is interesting. But as you can see, I got a ton of obsidian with this guy. Now, they get a ton of it. Now, if I go over to this node right here and just hit that, look at that, 66 obsidian. Now, that's way more than I would ever get with a pick. But you also, and which is kind of interesting, they actually gather a ton of metal from obsidian nodes as well. Look at all that. Let's just drop it so I can move forward here. But anyway, as you can see from metal nodes, you don't get anything but tons of stone, which makes it interesting that you get a lot of metal from the obsidian. But putting one up here and actually just flying your Quetzal up, if you're on a PvE server or something like that, or building a little stationary base near some obsidian nodes, is really helpful with these guys, because like I said, they're crazy good at gathering obsidian. Now, if you actually throw these guys in a pen and you've got some stone nodes in it, they'll actually go around hitting it and gathering all the stone, but their weight is so little that it's hard to actually really make a profit off it. It's actually more of a hassle. I'm just going to take this guy right off of this because they take such little damage and just kind of bounce down the volcano. It's pretty fun. But the last kind of thing about these things is you can put them on Wander and kind of, you can kind of be a little bit more risky with them being on Wander and about, because they will go into their ball form like this and take all of this reduced damage. Barely take any fall damage at all. But anyway, let's move on to number 4 and check out something cooler. Alright, so here we are with number 4, and it's going to be the Pelagornis. I think this one's a pretty cool one. This one's pretty newly added into the game, but it's the smallest mountable bird, and it's awesome. Like, this thing has got some cool uses, and I mean, it's just a lot more mobile. It wouldn't be as awesome if it didn't have this feature right here. So if you could just, oh my gosh, this saves you so many times. So normally if you fly a bird into the water, it kicks you off, but not this one, it lands on it. So that's really nice. As you can see, I just killed that salmon in one hit. This one's really good for gathering food if you're low level and are able to knock one of these out and tame it. That would be really beneficial, because they're really mobile, but you do have to keep it alive because they have low health. So as you can see, they're like super fast on the water. Like, this guy's like a little jet ski. But we're gonna take it out to the tundra, and I'll show you something interesting. So right here we've got some penguins. So as you can see, I just got 30 organic polymer from that guy. Now, if you take your Pelagornis out here, there's actually a ton of them flying around. They know what's up. But if you actually kill the poor little baby penguins and you murder them, you get 45 organic polymer per. Now, that's a lot more. Let's just for reference, I'm going to go over and I'm going to murder this poor little thing. Oh, this is a trank dart. That won't do anything. We're going to have to pike it. So I'm going to pike it, take out the pick. That's the right one, right? Oh, let's do the hat. the axe. Okay, so 7 from the axe, 0 from the pick, and this guy got about 40 something. So you can actually just swoop these guys in, kill a bunch of poor little penguins. Look at this little guy. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know what's happening. Oh, it's so sad, but so effective. But anyway, so that's a big use for these ones. Polymer is really difficult to get early on in the game, so these are pretty effective. So let's move on to number 3 now. Alright, for number 3, I like to throw water ones in here because I'm always hoping that the water will be more, I don't know, more attractive. But with the loot drops and whatnot, it's actually really cool. So what I actually found with the Dunkel is you can actually buff these guys up pretty well. Now he's about level 114, and this is actually by far the best way to get oil in the game. Now, you can always go out to the tundra. Now, that's a very safe way to get oil, but if you take one of these guys out and have your Mosasaurus follow you around to gather oil, or, I mean, anything that can carry a lot of stuff, you can gather, like, enough oil to fuel your base for weeks, just by hitting a couple nodes, because this guy, they get a lot. So as you can see, he's actually pretty quick. Now I've put almost all of my points into move speed because otherwise they're pretty much useless. Like literally they are so slow in the water, they're almost useless. But as you can see, with just a couple points into stamina and almost all of them into movement speed, I put a couple into weight just so he had a little bit more, but mostly just movement speed. And if you get a high level one, these guys are good. He's just as fast as a Megalodon now, and he's definitely got more stamina. So there are a couple other awesome features to this guy, which I think are this guy's a little bit underrated, to be honest. I think normally people tame him up and they're really low level, or they're just not leveled in movement speed and they just think they're useless, but they're really not. So as you can see, I found some anglerfish here, and if you kill anglerfish, which a lot of people I found a lot of people don't kill anglerfish. I like to use the angler gel to light the torches and stuff. So it's actually it's a good resource. So 65 angler gel from this anglerfish. That's a lot. So this guy harvests quite a bit, and if you find trilobites as well, he harvests like an axe. So you actually get quite a bit of chitin from them. Now, right here, I've got a plesiosaur, and if you look, I'm taking very little damage. And you take a lot less damage from this guy. He actually takes reduced damage because of the armor on his scales. Now, I brought you in kind of at the end of this fight where there was a plesiosaur and a mosasaur attacking me because it's dark and I just didn't want to waste your time. Like, water is so much worse at night. But as you can see, he was able to pretty easily kill a mosasaur because that plesiosaur was attacking too, and he's at a quarter health. So these are awesome, and let's move on to number 2. Alright, so here we are with number 2, and this one's going to be the Beaver. Now, I actually really like this one if you're going to an area to gather a lot of wood or stone or something along those lines, and you just have your Quetzal. You could just airdrop this in with it, and it's actually really useful for a couple of reasons. Now, as you can see, you can actually move really quickly while gathering with these guys because they can attack and move at the same time. But also, their swimming is like ridiculously fast. So if you're in like the swamp area or just anywhere near water, it's really nice to have one of these guys, especially if you want to gather some resources. Now, the one important thing is I have buffed up his weight quite a bit. Now, that's what I always buff on these guys once I get around 2k health. So let's drop that. That's going to spoil anyway. But anyway, as you can see, we've got a lot of stone in here, and the stone is actually reduced by half when in the inventory of the Beaver, and the wood is reduced by, what, 1/5? And also thatch is reduced as well. So these guys can actually carry a lot more of the stone and thatch. So as you can see, if you're in the swamp, you can take, oh god, piranhas. It's not going to be a problem. No, that's why if you're taking these to the swamp, make sure they have a decent amount of health because there's a lot of dangerous stuff. But as you can see, I can swim at a really quick pace and gather just ridiculous amount of thatch. So they're really nice for moving and gathering stuff at the same time. But the other big function to these guys, and a reason why they're really nice to bring along, is if you throw your armor in here, and as you can see, we can repair it. Oh, crap. If you have fiber, you can repair it. If you have all the resources, you can. Let's just throw a couple pieces of fiber in here. Where's it at? Okay, so we could repair that, actually. So it's actually really nice. So if you're out far from your base, you know, it's really annoying to have to fly all the way back to repair your hatchet, or the multiple pieces of armor that you break trying to gather resources, you know, when you get attacked from behind. But it's really nice to bring one of these for that reason. You can actually just repair it on the go, and you don't have to keep, you know, going back and forth. So I think that's really cool. These guys are really nice to bring along in a handful of situations. You can always park one of these outside of a cave when you go into it, because then you can quickly run out and repair armor if you need to. So anyway, that's the Beaver, throwing it at number 2 because it does have a lot of functionality and is really mobile. But let's move on to number 1 here. Alright, so here we are with number 1, and it's the dire bear. And honestly, I've mentioned this in quite a few videos in the past, but this is easily my favorite dinosaur. I think it's the best creature that there is in Ark. Oh my god, that ragdoll. So we're just going to grab a couple. We're going to kill some of these coal right here on the beach. But there are so many uses to this guy, and I mean, they all kind of revolve around the fact that it's an omnivore. So that's kind of what sets it apart from a lot of the other dinosaurs and creatures in Ark, because the fact that it can eat the meat and, you know, vegetables and berries and whatnot is what really sets it apart. Because, you know, when you have a carno or something, you can't gather berries and whatnot from plants. You can't do it. If you have, you know, a trike, you can't kill a dinosaur and take the meat off of it. You can't, you know, so you have to have both of them to be able to get both those resources. So with the bear, you can get both. And then like you saw right there, I could actually, you know, they get that movement speed charge like the rhino. They don't get the melee damage bonus at the end, but I mean, it's still really good for covering land. So as you can see, you can gather both meat, like from the dilos, you can gather fish, and you can gather berries as well. So that's really super useful. As you can see, there's also fiber in my inventory. So I mean, this guy literally can gather like every resource. Usually, I mean, what is there anything else they can gather fiber besides the? I mean, the Gigantopithecus can gather fiber on passive, but other than that, I don't think there's anything that actually can. So, I mean, this on so many levels, this is such an easy tame for how good it is. You can easily get these guys stuck or just get above them and tame them. I mean, it's easy. So let's take a little bit of damage, and I'll kind of show you how this works, because their healing is actually a bit different from other creatures. So if you take damage, I just took some from the trike over there, let him poke me with his spikes for a bit, but if you actually heal it or like feed it anything, it'll heal it. So you could feed it seeds, you could feed it meat, narco berries, stim berries, any of those heal it, which is really interesting. Now I know for the countdown I didn't want to base it off of things attack, and that's not really what I'm basing this one off, more of just the utility of this. Like, it's very hard if you tame up one of these as a low to mid-level character to lose it. Like, these will kill most anything if it tries to, you know, attack. So along with that, you can gather any of the resources, including fiber, and these are pretty easy to trap on ridges and whatnot. So I honestly think they're the best, you know, just dinosaur in general in the game for a new or mid-level character to get. And once you're high level and you find some high-level ones of these, they are dominant in caves and whatnot. So these are definitely one of the best. Also, I mean, they can stand up. Let's go over to this guy. Let's go talk to him and see if he'll... Hey, buddy. Look at it. We'll communicate. Oh, look at it. He did it back. Oh, now he's mad. Alright, but anyway, that's where I'm going to stop for the countdown. I hope you enjoyed, and, I mean, even if you don't agree with where I put some of them, let me know what you thought in the comments, because, I mean, I just wanted to do some interesting ones, and they might not be the best, but, I mean, they're definitely pretty cool. So, if you liked the video, definitely hit that thumbs up, and or subscribe to the channel for more content. Otherwise, you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.